The lights were blinding, the cameras unflinching, and the world was watching. Millions tuned in to see a tense interview that no one knew would explode into one of the most unforgettable live television moments of the decade. The stage was set. Oprah Winfrey, one of the most celebrated talk show hosts in history, sat poised with her familiar air of authority. Across from her sat Senator Ted Cruz, a man often mocked, criticized, and underestimated, but never one to shrink from a fight. From the very beginning, Oprah's tone was sharp, laced with sarcasm as she introduced Cruz. "Here's a man," she quipped, "who still clings to faith in a world that's moved far beyond fairy tales." The studio audience chuckled nervously. It wasn't the first time a guest was tested on her stage, but tonight, something felt different. Cruz simply smiled, his eyes calm but unyielding. He knew the trap had been set. Oprah leaned in, her voice carrying the edge of ridicule. "Senator, do you really expect America, modern, educated America, to take your faith seriously? Do you honestly believe quoting scripture has a place in politics, when what this nation needs is reason, not religion?" The crowd erupted in applause, cheering her on. For a brief moment, it seemed like Cruz had been cornered, painted as out of touch, old-fashioned, and weak. Cameras zoomed in on his face, expecting discomfort, hesitation, or maybe even defeat. But instead, he waited for the noise to settle, his silence itself commanding attention. Then, with a voice steady as steel, he began. "Oprah," Cruz said softly, "faith isn't a weakness. It isn't a crutch. It's the foundation that gave me strength when I was a boy watching my father walk out on my mother. It's the reason my mother didn't give up when life broke her heart. And it's the reason I'm sitting here today, able to face ridicule without hate in my heart. Because you see, faith doesn't make life easier. It makes life possible." The audience grew quieter. The laughter that had filled the room moments ago seemed almost inappropriate now. Oprah shifted in her chair, her trademark confidence shaken just a bit. But Cruz wasn't finished. "You call it outdated. I call it eternal. You call it fairy tales. I call it the truth that carried Harriet Tubman through the darkness of slavery, the same truth that gave Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. the courage to stand before fire hoses and say, 'I have a dream.' Without faith, Oprah, there would be no freedom. Without faith, there would be no America. And I will never apologize for believing in the God who gave us both." The silence was deafening. Some in the audience lowered their heads. Others wiped tears from their eyes. Oprah herself looked stunned, her mouth slightly open, as if searching for the words that had always come so easily before. But no words came. She had pressed him to the edge, and instead of crumbling, Cruz had stood taller than ever. The moment stretched, unbroken, until finally,